pretty much everyone I know who's become convinced of atheism, there's usually only one main reason why, and it's called the problem of evil in philosophy. If there is an all-powerful, all-good, all-knowing God, why does evil exist? And it's easy to write this off as a Christian by saying free will. We have our desires, we have free will, and then we can choose evil things. We can choose to sin and turn away from God. But when you really think about it, when you think about the power God has, it's difficult to just accept that answer, even though that's an answer that I would even say is accurate to a degree. Another answer, some Christians, it's more rare, they say God is not all good. There are actually Christians out there, the Westboro Baptist Church is pretty famous for that say God's not all good. But ultimately you have to choose what you're going to do. If you're going to believe in God, what do you do about the problem of evil? But we all, regardless of whether we believe in God or not, we have to choose what we're going to do about the fact that evil exists. So now I'm just going to go over 4 ways to approach the problem of evil for everyone, whether you're a Christian or not. Although one of these I would say is what a Christian chooses. So that'll be the 4th one. So the first one is you can become obsessed with it. And a lot of atheists, like even some I know personally, this is what happens. You start just becoming so overwhelmed by all the evil that you see in the world. This world is so dark, and then this also is associated with the philosophy of nihilism, which is that life has no meaning. Because sometimes the cruelty and the indifference that it seems like the universe has towards us, that the external part that we don't consider me has from us, it seems so overwhelming and depressing that some people can't overcome that. They just become consumed with it. And some people even end their lives over this. They're so affected by the problem of evil, just the evil that's in this world. So that's one approach. You become consumed by it. That's the worst way to handle it. Obviously, you can't cope with evil that way. Everyone's trying to cope with evil. A second approach is to deny it. And this is the approach of a lot of other spiritualities outside of Christianity, and even I believe there's some truth in this, but you have to be very careful how you articulate it. But here's how the deny approach works. Usually people who believe this would believe in pantheism, which when I talked about cycles of theism, if you remember that video a while back, about a month ago, in the cycles of theism, after atheism, we move into pantheism because you want to believe that there's good and magic in the world, because there is, and there's beauty everywhere. We look at the sky, we look at the stars, we look at the plants, the trees, all the landscapes. There's beauty in this world. And so knowing that there's beauty in this world, we want to be captured by that magic. We want to know that we're a part of it too. We're part of the good that's in this world. Humans are not all evil and disgusting and bad. I think it's evident. That's why most people don't believe, even people who call themselves Christians, a lot of people will deny the Bible to say that people are all good, and that some people go to the extreme that there is no evil in people, but they become evil. Like when they're born, they would say, this is not the Bible, but some people believe this, there's no evil in you when you're born, but the environment corrupts you and you become evil. Which begs the question, does that mean nature is evil? And nobody really I haven't heard many people talk about that. Some people would say, yeah, nature is evil. But then it's like, okay, but we came from nature, so how are we not also evil, have evil in us? I personally believe the Bible teaches that man has both good and evil in them from birth, and that is what sin nature is. It's having both good and evil mixed together in you from birth. I could go into why, but I mean, just the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the fact that we ate of that, it was called the knowledge of good and evil, not the tree of the knowledge of only evil. So it was the knowledge of good and evil. And sin isn't just evil, it's a mixture of good and evil, and a lot of people don't understand that, but we're going to get to that in the fourth view. I got to move a little quicker here. But with the second view of dealing with the problem of evil, it's denying it. So you say evil's just an illusion. It's not really real. Everything is actually only good all the time. And you just deny it. And you're saying the reason we can't see that it's good is because we just can't see it yet. And see, this view connects a little bit with the Bible when it talks about God works all things together for the good of those who love him. And then that's Romans 8:28. And then in Genesis 50:20, Joseph says to his brothers when they're afraid, because his brothers betrayed him and everything, did evil to him. And Joseph says, you meant this for evil, but God meant it for good. So in other words, God's going to work everything together for good. But, so in that sense, you could say, yeah, there's a sense in which evil's an illusion. It's not really real. It's going to be good. But here's the problem. The denial view, if you take it to the extreme and you say there really is no such thing as evil, it's just all in our head, you have to excuse people's crimes. You have to excuse the evil that people do. For example, people who molest children, which I think everyone would say is one of the most evil things that you can do. Violation of innocence, so evil. You have to say that the child molester, that's not really evil, what he's doing. It's a good thing that he's doing. No. I think we're all aware of that. And then other things too, raping a woman, for example. These are things that men usually do, but, women could do these things too. But there's other things, murdering someone, killing someone. Oh, that's good that they killed someone. Very good. No. So you basically have to deny morality altogether to deny the problem of evil. So you see, it's tricky, though, because then you think, okay, well, what do we do about this? So that's why the denial view is not really a good view, but it helps people cope. They just deny, no, there really is no such thing as evil. It's really all good, and this is okay. So that's another view of evil outside of Christianity. There's some truth in it, like I was saying, but there's lies in it as well. There is evil, and it needs to be punished. There needs to be justice. That's true. We all understand that. That's why when there is no justice, people take justice into their own hands and seek vengeance and revenge. Okay, so now the third view of good and evil, or not good and evil, but the problem of evil, how to cope with it. I kind of touched on this a little already, but this view is to say that both good and evil exist, and we just have to accept it. We have to accept both good and evil, realize that one cannot exist without the other. It's balance. We need both good and evil, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. We need both of them. This is the view in certain Asian religions. I think it came from Taoism, the yin and the yang. I'm forgetting off the top of my head which specific ones. It might be in Hinduism, but it might not. I'm not sure. So don't quote me on that. Look it up for yourself. But in Asian religions, this is Eastern religions, I should say. This is a view that there's both good and evil. We have to accept both of them. You can't get overwhelmed by only evil. You have to focus on the good too. And you need the balance of accepting, in Buddhism I think it is, accept the suffering. And they would say too that attachment is the root of all suffering. If I remember correctly, that's a Buddhist philosophy. And if you just detach yourself and empty your mind and don't desire so much, don't love so much, and once again, there's some truth in this. I believe biblically there's some truth in this. It's not all truth. That's the problem. There's a saying, I'm going to tell you, some of you may disagree, but really think about this. Truth is the power of lies. So there is no lie that exists that doesn't have power because of truth. Deception only works because it has truth in it. If it had no truth in it, it would not work, you see. So that's why there is some truth in all religions and in all, I believe that's some of it. And I'm mostly speaking to Christians here on this, with that comment here, but I'm speaking to everybody regardless of just that. So that's the third view. Accept both good and evil. This kind of can get mixed too in this view, I believe, with I'm a good person, I'm a good person, but that person, that's an evil person over there. But I'm a good person. So you accept both good and evil, and you're able to cope with just the fact that you accept evil, you don't like it, but it's part of morality, there's good and evil. So that's a third approach to good and evil. And I would say this is the most common approach for everyone who's not a Christian, to accept both good and evil. Usually believe that you're good. You're never in your mind, you're like, I'm never one of the bad ones. I'm not an evil person. It's rare to actually say, oh yeah, I'm an evil person. Have you ever considered the Disney movie mentality of villains? Like villains in Disney movies and other cartoons and stuff, they actually embrace, I am evil, and yes, I know I'm evil, and haha. No, that's not really how it works. No one in all of history has ever thought that they were the bad guy. Everyone in their mind is the hero. Hitler was the hero of Germany, and there was a time when Germans even thought Hitler was a hero. During that, back in the time when his Nazi party won. So Hitler did not view himself as evil, he viewed himself as a hero, and he was on a mission to do good for the world. That was his mission. Think about this, guys. That's horrifying. But this is part of why evil is so terrifying, because it's a complicated thing. Nobody who's evil, becomes consumed by evil, thinks that they're evil. They think they're doing good. Even Satan thinks this way. Satan doesn't know he's evil. He thinks he's a hero. He thinks he's trying to save everybody from the evil God. And in Satan's view, God is evil. So think about this, because I believe it's true, biblically based as well. I know I'm not going through that many verses right now, but I'm just trying to get through this. So longer video for today, IGTV. Want to do these occasionally as I feel I have a good topic. So anyway, the fourth and final view now is the view that Christians embrace, and that's that we cope with evil, the problem of evil, by saying God is the pure ultimate goodness. There is no evil in him, and I will give you scripture for this one. 1 John 1:5. God is light, and there is no darkness in him at all. God is light. The Lord is good. It says multiple times through the psalm, the Lord is good. His mercies are over all his creation. God only does good. He does not do evil. I personally vehemently reject the view that some Christians have. It's rare, but some Christians believe God is not all good, that God has evil. They wouldn't express it that way. They would say, no, he is holy and righteous and good, but he's not all good to his creation. He does evil to them, and that's okay, and he's right to do that. I don't believe that. I think that's BS. So, for lack of a better word, that's my friends waving at me here in El Paso making this video. So, to wrap it up then, I would argue that God is all good, and we need to accept that God is all good no matter what. There is evil. So what is evil then? Evil is the absence, and John MacArthur said this. I disagree with some things John MacArthur says, but I love this. He says, evil is the absence of God. Just like darkness is the absence of light. And as soon as light comes in, it immediately overpowers darkness, and it shifts every shadow so that darkness is running to hide from light wherever it can. And that's kind of how good and evil work together. God is the good. He's pure good. He comes in, and evil's looking for a hiding place. Evil's trying to somehow blend in, mix around. But evil is the absence of God, and God is the perfect goodness, perfect love, everything that is good, perfect justice, holiness. That's holy means there's no one else like him. And that's where we can't fully understand it, but we have to accept it. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, in Hebrew it's know, which means have an intimate relationship with him. In all your ways know him, and he will direct your paths.